They start off intellectualizing something that I know I probably should believe in, but don't believe in it, and convince myself, even to an extent to trick myself, that, to sit here and go, well, you just tell yourself, this too shall pass. Okay, great. Well, what the hell's that mean? Even if it's true. In the moment, you're like, what are you fucking talking about, man? I'm in the debit section. I'm in a warning section. This sucks. I think that how much I'm conscious of it or not, my undeniable optimism and faith that this isn't all it is. And if it is, so what? That's okay. Well, then really, so what? You know what I mean? What's the big deal? It minimizes. I seem to have a tendency not to make a bigger deal out of things that other people make a bigger deal. Dramas. I don't like to create false drama. When it comes and it's hard, I am affected. I get the blues. I get sad. I get mad. I'm a shit to be around. I can't get to sleep. I got demons in my own head trying to work the riddle out. Why did this happen? That's the other thing that's tough for me is I think that any bad thing that happens to me, my initial reaction is, well, what'd you do wrong to lead to this? Like in a relationship. Camilla and I get in an argument. My mind immediately goes, well, what'd you do in the last 2 weeks to let this get to a point where you just had to raise your voice? Or she had to raise her voice at you? Usually there's some P's and Q's that were not handled to get to that point. So I like it when things are running like this. The challenge when things are running great is we all tend to think, aha, this is it. I've found it. Bottle it. If I realize this, I can maintain this forever. And the truth is bullshit. No, we can't. But we can minimize it. There are habits that I notice of things I take care of in my life, health-wise, faith-wise, father-wise, husband-wise, that know that if I'm doing that consistently, there's less valleys. There's less stress. There's less warning signs. There's less problematic, oh shit, how'd we get in this? So there's consistently behaviors that I know I can act upon that have worked in the past. I'm the reason that I stepped in shit, which is also an asset. Even if someone go, why are you giving yourself so much credit for screwing that up?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think part of this for me comes from we didn't get in trouble in my family for the bad deed. We got in trouble for getting caught. So times where I can screw up and get away with it, I feel better than times that maybe I didn't screw up as bad, but got busted. Because I got caught, because I got busted, because I got myself in the pickle, because things didn't go how I wanted it to go or how I believed it could go.
Is there something that you try to remember about the upside of a crisis during a crisis, or do we just need to ride that out? So I think that perspective,
that's a good question. Yeah, right.
Zooming out would be so beautiful. And in retrospect, if only you could give yourself the gift of distance, of time.
Yeah.
And yet something hard is going to come again, and you're going to be swept away by the wave.
I mean, for me, I think it's an obvious dance of the both, because you can't jump to the objective right away and go, inshallah, oh, fate'll have it, this too shall pass, I'm fine. No, because then you don't deal with the crisis. I do have a pretty quick threshold for being able to laugh, like honestly start giggling when I'm in the shit, because I've found that I'm able to handle the shit better if I just the quicker I start going, are you kidding me? And I'll get objective and remind myself things like, you gonna die, McConaughey, which gives me that, so what? This is not as big of a deal as I thought. I also quickly somehow comes in my head, not right now, but one day this is gonna be a great fucking story. I quickly go to that. I'll project forward into those places that ease me a little bit, and at least maybe look at it with a good eye.
You're almost imagining being that future you, laughing back at this present you.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the faith and belief that again, I'm nervous before I'm going to go speak or something. I got a little thing in my wallet. You're going to die one day, McConaughey, and I'm like, that relaxes me. If I'm going in, complacent, I got another note and tell myself, what you're about to say and do will outlive you, so you better fucking do it well. to get me more on edge.
Good times and bad times, the lessons that we take from each. Heard a quote recently that said, "Every man knows reflection and introspection when he's at his lowest." Bad times, you can't do anything other than wallow in retrospective assessment.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things I've learned from you is when things are going well, given that that's presumably what you want to have more of, maybe worth deconstructing that.
Yes. I wish I could more, and I think more of us could all deconstruct our assets. Happiness, you can't guarantee it, but there is a science to satisfaction. There, you can look at habits that engineered less pain in your life, maybe more pleasure, but at least less pain, and that's a win. I try to deconstruct. Look, do I write it? Did I used to write as much? Look, at anybody who's ever kept a diary. What's the old sort of nostalgic idea of a diary? You go there when you're in pain and you share thoughts that you don't want to share with anyone else, of those reflection. And I did used to, for some reason, I don't know why, but would force myself to write every day, no matter how happy I was. And I didn't a lot of times want to go write when I was happy, because I was like, no, I don't need to write it. I don't need to become conscious of it.
I'm having too much fun. It's getting in the way.
Come on, I'm doing it. It's living, it's happening. And in writing Greenlights, when I went back, that's a lot of the consistencies that I found that I wrote when things were going well, that I was for some reason, taking time to go, can I try and bottle some science here to why things are going well? And I did find consistencies. Who I was hanging out with at night, what I was drinking, what bar I was at, what food I was drinking, how exercise, preparation for work, for school. And I found things I was like, you were really happy in this segment of your life. Let's go back and look at what you were doing. Oh, man, I had Augmentino scrolls. I was on them every day. I had some discipline where I was checking in with myself. Oh, you were going to church on Sundays. You were saying thank you, God, before you went to bed each night. You were appreciating more. You were pointing out beautiful things and not taking them for granted. And so I found a list of things. I'm like, and when I get off track, I try to remind myself, you've been slacking on some of those. And I could pull it off. I've evolved. I got different ways. I can get away with some now, but I've definitely found consistencies, and I think we all have them if we just notate them along the way, that they're not by accident. Because we sure as hell deconstruct the reasons when we're in the funk, and we don't believe they're by accident. We can take ourselves behind the woodshed and show ourselves exactly why we're guilty for every reason, and condemn ourselves for every damn reason we got to that spot. Yeah, well, if we're gonna do that, I just say, let's cheers. Let's have a cheers on the way for all the things that will work for when we have shit going right. Also knowing that it's not forever, that we will have a mountain to climb here shortly.
Isn't it interesting? So much of content that people like to consume, books, podcasts, autobiographies, memoirs, is deconstructing the success of others. So we'll happily dissect success in other people,
right,
and yet only dissect failure in ourselves. This odd asymmetry where we bestow all of the glory on those people. Well done. And I must find out how to do it more, even if it doesn't fit me, even if they're a different constitution, different background, different time. For me, I'll focus on the negatives.
Right.
There's a really interesting stat around the likelihood of you ensuring that your dog completes a course of antibiotics is about 95%. The likelihood that you ensure that you'll complete a course of antibiotics is about 50%. So we're prepared to look after an animal twice as well as ourselves.
I wrote a note the other day, man.
What does that say on the back of your phone? The sticker?
Oh,
choose to shine. Very cool.
My daughter gave me that.
Yeah.
I wrote the other day, and then most of what I do is I use this notes app, right? And I wrote the other day, where is it? It was on that note. I was like, what's my best advice I need to give myself right now? is listen to my own damn advice.
Yeah.
And it followed that up with, where is it? Yeah. Trying to live with less gravity and more backbone is a salty task.
What's that mean to you?
Trying to live lighter with less gravity, live lighter, not take certain things so seriously, but still have the principled backbone. Because as I'm getting older, we get older and the black and whites turn to gray, and then there's a great word, compromise, we all say, which is such a mature thing to do. And then all of a sudden we let things slide, and then we start going, well, change will happen. Hey, change is inevitable. Let change happen. And I'm not ready. That's part of getting old, I think, not just getting older. Same with cynicism. It's a disease of getting too old. And I'm not ready to, I don't want to be ready to give up certain things. I'm going, no, man. The beauty of ignorance, those things that we believed in. I've gotten away with so many things because of my ignorance. I would be dead 14 times in this life if I wouldn't have been ignorant of the situation I was in. And so, yeah, not knowing or knowing what we know, it's anyway, yeah, it's more backbone to hold on and be principled to what I stand for, what I stand against, when it becomes easier and easier to just go with the flow. And I'm not ready to go, let's just go with the flow. I don't want to pick the wrong battles. I'm trying to be discerning and not picking the wrong fights, because I like picking fights and going after challenges. But I'm in a place, I'm kind of like, man, it's tough duty to win the fair fights. And there's a lot of unfair fights out there. And why do I want to spend my time, if I got 24 hours a day, picking unfair fights when I'm going to be busting my ass to win the fair ones?
Well, also picking fights with yourself. You hinted just there at the difficulty of a negative inner voice. You take things seriously. You care about what you're doing. You want to achieve things in this world, which means that you need to have high standards. Yep. You need to posit an ideal. But as soon as you posit an ideal, you then begin to compare yourself to that ideal. Yep. And often you find yourself lacking because it's a fucking ideal.
Yep. I think it's why a lot of relationships don't work. We make her Wonder Woman and she makes us Superman, and neither one of us can live up to it. And that we've got that bulb, that honeymoon bulb turned up to 100 watts, and the honeymoon's over. We're trying to deal with some real base stuff. Let's leave it at 20 watts. We're just lit, but we're not just feverishly, superhuman. And I think a lot of us just purport that on someone else, and they can't live up to it. And it ends up not being fair to them. And then they do the same to us, and we both walk away going, I underwhelmed.
Do you know the idea of the Michelangelo effect? Have you heard of this? Awesome. So the Michelangelo effect describes a situation in a relationship, friendship, or intimate partnership where each partner sees the best in the other and tries to help bring that out. So the sum of the parts is greater than it is individually. And the reason I love it is why it's called the Michelangelo effect. So the block of marble that David was carved from had been attempted by a number of other sculptors previously. Huge, monstrous thing. If you've ever seen David in person,
I have.
Ginormous. People can't, and when you're looking up as well with that angle on the plinth, it's even bigger. Previous sculptures had attempted and failed, but Michelangelo saw inside of the marble what was David.
Right.
And he just needed to get away all of the things that weren't. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I think in life you want to be finding people that believe in you more than you believe in you, that hold you to higher standards.
I think that's the definition of a good friend. I think that's the definition of a good partner, a good definition of a good husband, wife. That they remind us of the best of ourselves. They shine that light and remind us, because we do. I know I do. It gets, I put the blinds on it, and I don't see it a lot of times, and I'll be reminded. This has always been a thing for me. And I don't know how this correlates, but I've never been as good in my dreams as I am in real life. I never win the day, get the girl, ace the test. I can perform in my dreams. I never have, as well as I will in real life.
I think I'm the same.
And I guess what I'm saying is I'll pull something off. I'm like, did everyone see that? And my friends are like, no shit. That's you, bro. What's the biggie? You know what I mean? It's kind of what I like about living in Austin, Texas. They're not really impressed with shit that I pull off. They thought it was cool. I won an Oscar, but they were like, well, no shit. You know? And I was kind of like, oh, all right. Yeah. Thank you, man. That's, and that's what friends will do in a way. Loved ones will do that and be like, yeah, there you are.
Again, it comes back to that. It's so much easier to be supportive and gentle of other people than of ourselves. You will happily bestow this sort of gentle, reassuring pat on the shoulder when somebody succeeds or falls short when they tried their best.
Right.
Yet, given the fact that you tried your best, you give yourself a kick in the dick on the way out of the door and a harsh word to follow you.
Yep. What do you think about when you do succeed and a lot of people go, oh, that's nothing. I prescribed it. I think we should take some time to be able to look in the mirror and own that thing that we pulled off and go, good job. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. At the same time, be able to, as we do more often, look in the mirror when we fail and go, bogey, you did not pull that off. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's kind of big in the ownership idea, the fail or the gain, ownership being really important. And I'm a fan of the ego. I wish people. Someone said this to me before. Look, this acquaintance said this. It came off the cuff. I didn't even think about it. She was like, tell me, Matthew, you're so full of yourself. And without thinking, I was like, well, who else am I supposed to be full of?
That's a good line.
And I stopped after. I was like, that's exactly what I meant. And I went and wrote that down. I wish more people were more full of themselves. Not in the arrogant way, but I'm talking about a healthy ego to understand. And I understand the ego's difference between I and me. Me's the objective, but to know the I wish more people, I wish we were more full of ourselves. I wish more people in the world were more full of themselves. I think part of the challenges in life is a lot of us are running around half-assing ourselves, half-fooling ourselves, not full of ourselves, not studying ourselves enough, not holding ourselves to task enough, not patting our own self on the back when we do get what we want enough, not cracking our own whip on our backside when we do get out of line even though we knew better. I wish we were more full of ourselves that way.
The guy that was sat there yesterday, Dwayne, I asked him something not too dissimilar about self-esteem. He took a little while. He said, I like me. I'd buy me a beer. I just thought, that's so fucking great.
Yeah, man.
I'd buy me a beer.
I'd buy me a beer. Hey, he's shaking hands with himself, and sweet, man. I got plenty of times where I'm the last guy I want to have a beer with. I'm happy to say I've got some times where I'm like, I appreciate drinking alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice. Would that be not more than nice? Is a better word than nice. But if go try to be today someone you want to have a beer with. It's a pretty good, easy way, pretty good bumper sticker. You know what I mean?